Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of My JavaScript Story. This week I'm on here with, let me see if I can get this right, Shashank Shekhar. Did I get anywhere close?
This is Shashank Shekhar.
Awesome. Do you want to just give us a brief introduction, who you are, where you're from, all that good stuff? I will also point out that I usually do these episodes with people who have been on the shows before, but I love getting stories of people who listen to the show. I feel like we get kind of a different angle on things. So I'm looking forward to this. But yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
So hey guys, I'm Shashank Shekhar from India. I'm working as a product developer in Local Trip right now, which is a tour and travel company with like you can compare it with some another Airbnb kind of stuff. But we are just working out of Goa in India right now. So yeah, this is a professional kind of thing headline you can say for now. But I've been working for like 1.5 years in this company, and before that I was freelancing in a company based out of Bangalore and France. Yeah, so this is it for now because I have not such long experience till now. Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by Sentry.io. Recently, I came across a great tool for tracking and monitoring problems in my apps. Then I asked them if they wanted to sponsor the show and allow me to share my experience with you. Sentry provides a terrific interface for keeping track of what's going on with my app. It also tracks releases so I can tell if what I deployed makes things better or worse. They give full stack traces and as much information as possible about the situation when the error occurred to help you track down the errors. Plus, one thing I love, you can customize the context provided by Sentry. So, if you're looking for specific information about the request, you can provide it. It automatically scrubs passwords and secure information, and you can customize the scrubbing as well. Finally, it has a user feedback system built in that you can use to get information from your users. Oh, and I also love that they support open source to the point where they actually open sourced Sentry if you want to self-host it. Use the code devchat at Sentry.io to get 2 months free on Sentry's small plan. That's code devchat at Sentry.io. Well, let's kind of start with our regular questions and dig in. So how did you get into programming?
So it's a long story. I have prepared some stuff for you guys. So if you have patience, just hear me out. Like I was born in a family which was not culturally exposed to technology, and like where a government job was basically much essential and appreciated. So it got me time to get the direct engagement with the technology side of things. So it was very much hard for me, right? And like I remember the first mobile I seen that was a LG Reliance with a blue-black screen. Back then in 2002, this was the first time I seen a mobile, and I was 8 years old back then. The same year, I also saw like the first computer in my school, and thanks to my parents who sent me to that technological advanced school, and it was a really big sacrifice for them financially. So yeah, I'm very thankful to my parents. And like if I tell you, when I see the first computer at that time, I went just crazy. So I was thinking like I will change the world with this computer and with some cool shit doing. Yeah, and that the very first programming language I learned was called Logo, logical oriented and graphical oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did in school too, was Logo.
Yeah, most of the people that time who were like introduced to computer was programming that language. Yeah.
Yeah. The turtle, you tell it to put the pen down and move around.
Yeah. So rotate and make the turtle of it. Turtle that the cursor looks like a turtle that on the screen. Yeah.
Right. So, what was it then that made you decide that being a programmer might be a career that you want to pursue?
So there are a couple of things. Like I really get driven by technology because I was very much interested when I see something like when you are playing a radio, how this is happening and what programming you have done to listen to the songs, how they're catching the frequency and stuff. So this was my tuition teacher who introduced first time to me that DOS system, this operating system, which comes in Windows. So that was Windows XP, and I used to. He taught me to programming basic kernel functions, and like I was pretty amazed to see that what lies behind a GUI was the basic function and commands which you can like simply run and get your work done, right? Later on my study, like I became busy with my school stuff back then. But I remember when I was in 10th standard, then my teacher introduced me to HTML, and I was just focusing on HTML. Back then I was not back then I was like unaware of CSS. I thought HTML is the only thing like you can make website on. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's funny because that's similar to my experience. When I was in high school, I started picking up HTML, and yeah, it was just exciting. It was like, oh, I can make these web pages, and I was hosting them anywhere you could for free. It was fun.
So like in my school, people used to like one person will program and other will just print out the codes he wrote. So I was the one who programmed, and the rest of my student fellow, they just printed out the codes I done. Like a pretty much basic website which was structural again with HTML. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And skipping out of it, like when I got into my college for undergraduation in 2012, then started learning C and C++ because they taught me very well, and I was very much driven by C and C++ because how they worked, and like you can pretty much do things, program your stuff out of it, write scripts and stuff. So back then we were using Turbo C, the traditional code editor for C and C++ with the blue screen and stuff, which is weird, some weird shit. Yeah. Then I moved to code blocks, which turns out to be a good idea. Yeah, for me that time.
So one thing I'm curious about is how you got into JavaScript, because it sounds like, you went to college, you learned C and C++. So yeah, why JavaScript? I mean, you had some web experience, but that's not the same thing.
Yeah, like I was into blogging and stuff. And then I used to edit my templates for HTML and CSS, and I used to copy paste JavaScript from another sites, and like you can use simply jQuery plugin and just copy paste the codes into your templates and blog, make something work out of it. Yeah.
Yep.
And at the same time, I was also a Microsoft student partner back then. So they taught Node.js in their workshops. Then I got really excited like how JavaScript can run in servers and power things, which is not expected that time. So in the middle of these things, I just learned Java, Android, Python, and some other programming language I've been through. But I was not interested in them at that time. So on 1st January 2017, I went to Free Code Camp. That was the time when I started learning HTML, CSS with JavaScript, and in less than 3 months, I was diving deep into JavaScript.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to let Quincy know about that. I get that story every so often, and it's just it's amazing to see what resources are out there and what people can do if they just try.
Yeah, I just tagged him when I used to like talk with him in that Free Code Camp forum, so he was really excited to see me on board then. Like, yeah.
Hey guys, let me tell you about Clubhouse. I swear, I've used every project management software there is out there, and I hated project management software. Now I have Clubhouse. Overall, it's simple and straightforward to use, but has enough of the integrations and power features you need to get the job done without getting confusing. This means that I can use it, and the non-technical members of my team can figure out what they need from it. It also makes it easy for me to zoom out and see what's going on overall before zooming back in and specifying more work that needs to be done, or picking the next task for me to tackle. They integrate with all the systems that you'd expect and have a REST API for, well, the rest. If you go to https://clubhouse.io/JSstory, you can get 2 months free instead of the standard 14-day trial for any team size. Once again, that's https://clubhouse.io/JSstory.
I also wanted to mention one thing. There is a Chingu cohort. Have you heard about it? Chingu?
Jingo? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was the first of the members of Chingu cohort. So they really they escalated my learning curve back then. And in 5 days, I remember when I learned React with them. So So like in 5 days, I learned the basics of React, and I made a web application out of it. So that was very much excited for me at that time, and like how Chingu driven me with the projects they ran in the cohorts. And like in May 2017, I got my first freelance gig. Yeah, that was
Nice.
cool.
So what was it about JavaScript? Because I mean, you had been doing C and C++ and some of this other programming. So why JavaScript? What was it about JavaScript that got you excited to learn it?
Yeah, so every time I used to learn things, I was not driven by them. But when I came to JavaScript, that was really a loving language. So like programming into JavaScript is type of you can say a drug addict kind of thing. But that was that feeling I got from JavaScript that time. So yeah, and I can't stop it. And it is growing and growing, and I'm learning things which is getting into the market right now.
Yeah, it's interesting because the way you're talking about JavaScript is how I felt about Ruby when I started programming in Ruby.
Okay.
Just, I had done other programming in PHP. I had done C++ and Java in college, and it was just like, yeah, programming, it's just kind of a thing, and whatever. And then I got into Ruby, and I was like, this is amazing, right? And I just couldn't get enough of it. And yeah, it sounds like it was kind of the same thing for you with JavaScript, where you felt like it just expressed things the way that you wanted to express them, and thought about them the way that you wanted to think about them. And so you made the switch.
Yeah, true.
So what was it like getting that first contract writing React?
Yeah, it was pretty much kind of pros and cons for me. Like I needed to learn Meteor.js back then when I was, and I just had like 3 months of time to complete that project, and that was a big project. You can find it. This was suggestionbox.tips. It's a website where you can provide suggestions, like suggestion.org. If you have it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what are you working on now?
I'm working on a progressive web application with React.js and Redux.js and Next.js right now. So we have launched in Goa, and we want to go pan India after that.
Nice. So you're just launched in Goa right now. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's a startup, so you have a really good environment here. Like learning is very much appreciated here.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I liked about working in startups. It was where it was essentially, oh, now we have to solve this problem, and so you just get to go learn how to do it. You figure it out because that's what that's where you're at. So
yeah,
very cool.
You need to be very urgent with startups. Like when something goes broken, you need to just fix it.
Yep. Pull out the duct tape, folks.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I don't know if I have any other questions, but it's really kind of a fascinating look into how people come into JavaScript. And I also find it interesting that, you kind of mentioned that, you weren't kind of born into a situation where you were expected to even learn technology, and, you took advantage of the opportunities anyway. And I really, really love that idea, just because a lot of people get this idea, whether it's true or not, that it's, technology is not for them, or, it's too hard, or, for whatever other reason, they shouldn't get into programming and computing. And it turns out that there are opportunities out there if you just reach out and grab them.
So yeah, I have made a big, multiple decisions in my life to get what I love. So in 2010, I have to leave my home to get to go to the place I studied. And yeah, so that was very much hard for me to be apart from your family, and you can't see them, you can't talk to them. You just have to be focused on your stuff. Yeah. So I am just very much focused on what I do. I don't know why like this has been my experience. So I just focus on the things I have to learn right now. And we had a talk for like freelance works
Uh-huh.
and stuff, how they work, and like I was pretty much planning to move into freelancing after this. If right now I'm like managing a product, so I can't quit that.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I want to be like moving into freelance work.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always excited for people to do that too. Just because I feel like as people gain more control over their situation, and freelancing is a great way to do that, that's where they really find the opportunities, and it really then just depends on how much work you put in.
Yeah, true.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, the last segment of this show is picks. Do you have some things you want to shout out about?
I don't really plan to short out with something, but I really wanted to tell people like don't quit on their dreams.
Yeah.
And just be focused and be like, if you have opportunity, then do what you love.
I 100% agree. 100% agree.
Yeah. Just keep a backup with yours.
Yeah. I mean, there has to be a market for what you want to do, but
yeah.
If you're lucky enough to enjoy programming, there's a market out there. So, go do what you love.
Nice.
I'm going to go ahead and shout out about a couple of things. I talk about some of the things that we've talked about on this show on YouTube. So if you go to devchat.tv/YouTube, you can find a playlist there called The DevRev, and that's for the developer revolution. And I'm really just trying to help people open up their eyes to some of the possibilities out there. So whether it's something that'll make your job better, whether it's freelancing, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's something completely different that I didn't even think of, I just want to kind of get people to look at where they're at, look at where they want to go, and then realize that there's a path to that, right? You don't have to just do the traditional job. You can make your job whatever you want, or you can go find a job that's whatever you want, or you can go and be freelance and make that into whatever you want. So yeah, I really, really encourage people to go check that out. And if you have any questions for that, just email me, chuck@devchat.tv. And yeah, we'll put some episodes up answering your questions. That's kind of how I got started with it. So
yeah, I have like multiple questions for that, but I'll be doing on that particular show. Yeah.
Yeah, just send me an email with your questions and I'll answer them on that show.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, I am going to wrap this up, but thank you for coming and talking to me. I really, really enjoy just getting these stories and putting it out there and going, look, some people have every reason to think they can't do this. And the difference really is that they just went out and did it.
Yeah. That's the spirit.
Yep. All right. If people want to find you online, where do they go? Are you on Twitter? Do you have a blog?
Yeah, you can on GitHub. You can just type Ashwamegh, ASHWAMEGH, and then on Instagram and Facebook you can type Ashwamegh Social, ASHWAMEGH SOCIAL, and same on the Twitter also.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks again for coming. We'll go ahead and wrap this up, and folks, we will be back next week with another story. Bandwidth for this segment is provided by CacheFly, the world's fastest CDN. Deliver your content fast with CacheFly. Visit CACHEFLY.com to learn more.